Alright, South is dealer. Everybody is vulnerable. Well, that's not going to take too long to decide what to do. We've only got 3 points, no shape to kind of make any aggressive preemptive bid. Nice and easy to start with. South will pass to West. West has got a balanced 7 points. That's pretty unexciting as well. Nice and easy for West as well. Can't open the bidding with anything, so pass. To North. Aha. Here is the good hand. Bound to be one. Right, what have we got here? 20 points in total. If we were balanced, we could open 2 no trumps with 20 to 22. We are not balanced. We have 5-5 in the black suits, so we're definitely unbalanced. Choices here. We could either open one of our higher ranking suit. Whenever you've got equal ranking suits, you always open the higher ranking, so 1 spade. Or we could open 2 clubs. 20 or more points with a unbalanced hand, I should say, you can open 2 clubs with. So you have a choice, really. One level openers go up to about 20, 2 club openers when you're unbalanced start at about 20. So it is pretty close to the mark here. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4 losers in total. So 4 losers in total suggests we should open at the 1 level rather than 2 clubs. If you had a 3 loser hand or better, that tends to suggest you have a hand good enough to open 2 clubs. So we could slightly upgrade this hand, make this king of diamonds the ace of diamonds, for example, or make this king of diamonds in the spade suit, let's say the ace of spades or the queen of spades. That would reduce our losers, and therefore we should open 2 clubs. However, what the losing trick count is telling us is that this king of diamonds is as good as a singleton small diamond. That's because we don't have the ace. So this 3 points isn't really 3 points, if you see what I mean. So I think I would open with the 1 level rather than 2 clubs, albeit 2 clubs isn't wildly wrong. I would open 1 spade because you always open the higher ranking suit. So we're going to go 1 spade, and then we're going to jump in clubs for our next bid to show 5-4 and a good hand. But certainly start with 1 spade for now. Alright, let's have a look at East. So East has got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points in total. 5-3-3-2 shape. We've got a shortage in the opponent's suit, which starts to sort of make you think about takeout doubling. The problem is takeout double needs about 12 or so points or more. So we haven't got enough points to make a takeout double. Our other alternative is to bid our 5-card suit. Our 5-card suit is diamonds. I don't particularly like the bid of 2 diamonds here. Yes, you do tick the boxes. You have 10 or more points and 5 or more cards. There's 2 reasons why I don't really like 2 diamonds. Firstly, the vulnerability. We are vulnerable, so really for a 2-level overcall, you want to have a hand approaching an opening hand or a 6-card suit. Secondly, our diamonds are rubbish. Ace to 5 is not a good suit. Yes, the ace is the best card in the suit, but there's no intermediates, no stuffing, if you will. If we had these queen jack in here, definitely I'll be bidding diamonds. Or even just move that queen there and I'll be thinking about it. But our points are in the wrong places. Queen doubleton, queen jack tripleton is just not a good way for our points to be sitting. So I wouldn't overcall 2 diamonds here. You could, it wouldn't be a massive crime, but you do really want better diamonds and or longer diamonds to be getting involved here. And as I said, a takeout double, you want more points. So a couple more points, takeout double looks good, better diamonds or longer diamonds, and you will be bidding the diamonds. But I think this is a pass, simply because the diamonds are just too shaky. So I would pass over 1 spade. Alright, South responding to 1 spade from their partner. This is quite a sad case, I'm afraid. 1 spade, we know they have 4 or more spades, they've got 12 or more points, or a hand that is worth it on rule of 20. We only have 3 points, so really we shouldn't be responding. The only time you respond with such few points is with extreme shape, i.e. a big spade fit, or a hand with kind of 6 or 7 cards that merits a bid. We don't have any of those things. Our hand is pretty rubbish, shape-wise and points-wise. Not only that, we don't like our partner's spades. Yes, you could say, well, I'll bid 1 no trump to get our partner out of 1 spade, but then when they bid 2 spades or 2 of a different suit, which we assume isn't going to be a red suit, we're just making the problem worse. So with fewer than 6 points and without any extra shape of any excitement, I think you should pass. Yes, it's rare you pass at the 1 level, and yes, your partner may well have a good hand. In fact, they do have a good hand, as we know. But this hand just simply isn't good enough to respond, so pass, I'm afraid. Right. So this is what's known as the protective seat. When it goes 1 spade, pass, pass, or 1 any suit, pass, pass, or even 2 or 3 of any suit if they open a preemptive bid. This is known as the protective seat because you're protecting against the bidding ending at the 1 level. This is also known as the balancing seat. Some people call it the balancing seat. Typically in America they call it a balancing seat or a protective seat. It tends to be more European. The protective seat means that basically your partner could have a good hand over that 1 spade, but they didn't have an appropriate bid. They didn't have enough points to bid 1 no trump. They didn't have a long enough suit to bid. They didn't have the right shape to double, etc., etc. Quite often when it goes 1 of a suit, pass, pass, your partner will have a fairly decent hand, but just no appropriate bid. That's what's often known as a trapped hand. So you tend to want to really strain and really push to try to stop the contract being 1 of a suit, because they often make 1 of a suit. The problem we have here is that we have very, very few points. We have 7. Typically you'll have sort of 9, 10, 11-ish where you're kind of in the protective seat. And not only that, we've got the wrong shape. We've got 4 cards. Our only 4-card suit is in the opponent's suit that they're about to play in. So we can't even double because our shape's wrong. We can't bid a suit because we haven't got any. We shouldn't really be bidding 1 no trump. You need more points. So as much as I dislike leaving the opponents in 1 of a suit, I simply can't come up with a bid here that would be a reasonable thing to do. Double would be wrong, 1 no trump would be wrong, bidding a suit would be wrong. It just all doesn't work, and the reason it doesn't work is because you have length with the opening bid. If the opening bid was, let's say, 1 club, pass, pass, I'd be more tempted to come up with some kind of creation, perhaps double or something else. But 1 spade, that is our length suit. So really unusually, this is hyper unusual, we're going to leave the opponents in 1 of a suit. It doesn't happen very often. It only really happens when you have a weak hand or a hand that has length in the trump suit. The opponent's trump suit, that is. Or a combination of both. You could have a weak hand with long trumps, for example. You tend to find if you had very few points with long trumps, though, your partner would have made a takeout double of some description. So given that South is very weak, and our partner hasn't bid, and we haven't got a very good hand, it looks like North does have a good hand. So I wouldn't really want to be getting involved. So I think I'm afraid I'm going to have to pass 1 spade out, which is rather sad. But that's the way it is. So, rather unusually, the contract is 1 spade. So we find ourselves on lead to 1 spade. We're somewhat puzzled as to why our partner didn't bid. If there's less than 6 points on our left, we've got 10. Our partner didn't come up with a bid in the protective seat. So why is that? That can only really be one of 2 things. North has a very, very good hand, so our partner has only sort of 7 or 8 points. Or North has not many spades, and so our partner has long spades, and so actually quite likes the idea of defending 1 spade. Or a sort of a combination of the 2. We are surprised that our partner didn't come up with a bid in the protective seat. However, we're on lead to 1 spade, so it is what it is. Our choices of lead, 1 is standing out to me, and the lead that's standing out to me is top of a sequence. Top of sequence leads are leads I really like, because they're quite safe, but they also start building tricks for your side. So I would lead the Queen of Hearts here. I don't see a reason to lead the club suit. 3 to the Jack tends not to be a particularly good lead, albeit it's not bad. I certainly wouldn't lead the trumps, because the Queen of Trumps is a card the declarer will be looking for. And I certainly wouldn't lead the diamonds, because we have the Ace of Diamonds, which is unprotected. We haven't got Ace King, and we haven't got an honour that isn't the Ace. You never lead away from an Ace against trumps. So that's those 2 suits out. Don't particularly like the clubs. So top of a sequence lead is the lead I would make. Right, down goes this rather disappointing dummy, I'm afraid. At least it's got something rather than absolutely nothing. Right, so let's think about the contract. 1 spade isn't particularly high. We are a bit disappointed we didn't get to bid this hand. We'd have liked to have bid spades, jumped in clubs, shown our great hand, off we go to game. That's not what happened. Our partner's hand is poor, as we can see. So 1 spade is probably close to the limit of this hand. So the Queen of Hearts lead's not good, because that will knock out our Ace of Hearts, which sets us up our loser here. Looking at losers over the whole hand, we've got 1 loser in hearts. They get rid of our ace, they've got the king or the jack. Potentially 2 losers in spades, the ace and queen. We might be able to finesse the queen out, but potentially not, because our entries to the dummy are rather lacklustre. 1 loser in diamonds, the ace is going to beat the king. And potentially 2 losers in clubs, depending on how the clubs break. These 2 clubs could be trumped on the dummy, but of course then someone else will have run out of clubs, so might also be trumping. So my instinct here is to try and get rid of the trumps, to then play these rather nice clubs. We are missing 6 clubs in total. We've got 5 clubs in hand, 2 clubs in the dummy is 7. So we're missing 6. If the clubs are breaking 3 and 3, our ace, king, queen will mop the club suit up, and these 2 clubs will actually be length winners, so we don't need to trump them. So these could turn from losers to winners if the clubs break nicely. But, of course, for that to be true, we need to have drawn the trumps. Now, drawing the trumps, we'd like to play them from the dummy towards our hand. We'd like to finesse for the queen, i.e. low to the jack or 10, low to the jack or 10. The problem with that is our entries are non-existent. We have no way of getting to the dummy. We could trump a third round of clubs, but that's really risky because that relies upon the clubs being 3-3, which isn't greater than 50%. A 3-3 break is about 36-ish% of the time. So we want to draw the trumps, we want to lead them from the dummy, and we can't, and that's because our dummy is rubbish. So what we're going to have to do is lead spades from hand, which is really, really annoying. We don't want to have to do that, but we're going to have to, and give in to the ace and the queen to try and draw these trumps off the opponents. We could get rid of their ace of diamonds by playing this king of diamonds at an early venture, but then the queen and jack of diamonds on the dummy, we'll never get to them. Our opponents will not lead diamonds for us unless they're trying to help us. So that's just sort of a pointless thing. We could do it, get rid of their ace of diamonds, they might lead a diamond for us, but it's really unlikely. The queen of hearts lead is really good for the opponents because it knocks out our ace and sets up their trick here straight away. So it looks like we're going to lose 1 heart, 2 spades because we can't finesse for the queen, 1 diamond, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 tricks, and potentially 2 tricks here depending on how the clubs break. We're going to need some fortune. We're going to need the spades to break nicely, or the queen to come down quickly, or the clubs to break nicely. We're going to need something, otherwise we might even go off in this 1 spade. If we lose 3 tricks in spades, because the spades break badly and the ace-queen wins, etc., and we lose 2 tricks here, and a trick here, and a trick here, that will lead to our defeat in 1 spade. So we need something to go well. One of these black suits needs to behave itself for us to not go off. But for now, we're going to win this ace of hearts in a minute. We're going to play the spades from the top, trying to get rid of the opponent's spades so that we can run this club suit. And that looks like the best bet. From the dummy, doesn't really matter what we do here. It's probably not going to matter the whole time what we do from the dummy. I'll play a small heart and see what West has to say. So, Declare just play the 2 of hearts from dummy. Our partner's led the queen of hearts, which promises the jack. I suppose it could be queen from shortage, queen singleton or queen doubleton. There's potential, but it's more often than not top of touching 2, so that would be queen from queen jack. That's good. That gets rid of the ace of hearts with Declarer. I know Declarer has the ace of hearts because our partner wouldn't lead this suit if they had the ace of hearts, because you shouldn't underlead an unprotected ace. So Declarer has the ace of hearts. We have queen jack king between us as a defensive team. So that's good. We're setting up heart tricks for ourselves. Declarer won't have too many hearts. That's because if our partner has queen jack, we have king to 3, there's 5 on the dummy, suddenly Declarer's got only 2, maybe 3 at best hearts. So we're not going to win too many heart tricks simply because we're going to be making Declarer rough the hearts shortly. But that's okay because they're roughing in the long holding, so it's not terrible. Basically, I like the heart lead. Queen of hearts is good because it sets a heart trick up, and we've got a definite entry in the ace of trumps. Diamond or a club lead wouldn't have really benefited us very much, so a heart lead is probably the best thing our partner could have done. The queen of hearts is equivalent to the king, so we don't have to play the king on the queen. Whatever you're signalling here, the 8 or the 7, depending on whether you show high to encourage or low to encourage or whatever. The 8 or 7, the 8, they're very, very similar cards, so the 8 and 7 are going to pass a very similar message because they're so close. If it was the 8 and the 3, we could say something more definite with our card. Whatever signalling method you play with your partner, that's the correct card. I personally would play the 8 because that tells my partner I've got an odd number of hearts. But again, that all depends on whether you play attitude or count or whatever. I personally would play the 8, but they're both very similar. Right, so queen of hearts, low heart from the dummy, low heart from the defender. We want to win the ace of hearts. Yes, they're going to win a heart trick, no reason to duck here. You don't really duck in a trump contract. You do sometimes duck in no trumps, but not really in a trump contract. You'd be sad if you ducked and then suddenly someone trumped your ace of hearts, so might as well take our ace of hearts now. Our plan here is going to be win the ace of hearts, try and draw the trumps, run the clubs, as we discussed a short while ago. So, ace of hearts first, and then we're going to try and play the trumps from the top. Now, there are 2 ways we can avoid losing a lot of spades here. That would require a friendly layout in spades. If we play the king of spades, they're going to play their ace on it, most likely, and then we're going to lose the queen of spades, and then we're going to play the 10 of spades eventually. We're going to basically need some kind of friendly spade layout. We're going to need the queen appearing quickly, or the ace appearing quickly, or the spades breaking 3 and 3. Some kind of friendly layout. So we're going to have to keep a very careful notice of the pips, the 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, those kind of things, in spades. And we're also going to keep a careful notice of the number of cards played. So you need to keep a really tight count on the spades. It doesn't really matter whether you play the king first or the jack 10. The only card I don't like is a low spade, because a low spade allows them to win something like the 9, and then we've still got still got the ace and the queen to still lose. So I would play a high card. My instinct is telling me the jack or 10, simply because it might be short spades with the queen, so you could play the jack, getting rid of the ace, potentially. Depends on how they defend it, to be honest. It looks like we're going to lose at least 2 spades. We're going to lose the ace of spades and the queen of spades, potentially a third spade, depending on how they break. So I would start with the jack of spades. The king of spades may work as well. You're just guessing, really. We're trying not to lose too many spades, but unfortunately we can't lead the spades from the dummy to try and finesse. We've got to lead them from hand, which is really not what we want to do. But we've got to draw the trumps to play the clubs later. So I'd start with the jack of spades. East got to play the queen of spades on the jack. If they don't play their queen of spades now, they're going to be left bare with the queen of spades, which will be bad. That means that someone will, probably declarer, will kill that queen of spades. So they're most likely to take their queen of spades whilst they can. Second hand tends not to play high. Second hand normally plays low. But here, this is a cheap chance, if you like, for East to make their queen of spades, so they need to take it. Unusually, you play high in second, only when you think you might never make that trick again. So take the queen of spades, basically. West will play small, their partner's winning the trick. And it's most likely that East will continue with hearts. They could switch. They could switch to diamonds or clubs. Most likely spades is not a good idea, because that's what declarer is playing. But there's no real reason to switch. They should continue with hearts, especially if they got an attitude signal from their partner, depending on the system they play. The 8 might have been encouraging or whatever, depending on what you play. So they should continue hearts, and with Jack Doubleton left, they should play the jack top of touching 2. This might lose to the king of hearts if declarer's got it, but it sort of can't cost anything. So I would play the jack of hearts. That gets a small heart from the dummy, a small heart from partner, and a small heart, well, 10, it's not that small, from declarer. So East has won another trick. They were always going to win that heart trick, though. There's nothing really declarer could do about that. So the defence have won 2 tricks now. Because the jack of hearts won with East, they know that their partner, West, has the king of hearts, otherwise declarer would have played it. So they can play a heart to their partner's king. However, if they count the hearts, we've had 2 rounds of hearts is 8, 3 on the dummy is 11, 1 heart in their hand is 12, and their partner must have the king of hearts, i.e. only the king of hearts, for 13. So if they do play a heart, their partner's king of hearts is going to get trumped. But that's not so bad, because the declarer can't get to the dummy. We know declarer can't get to the dummy, because if they could, they would have gone there and played spades towards their hand. They played spades in an unusual way. So I would play a heart, knowing our partner's king of hearts is going to get trumped, but that's okay. We're making the declarer trump in the long holding. So I would play another heart, knowing this isn't going to win the trick, rather than opening up a brand new suit. Opening up new suits tends not to be a good idea if you can avoid it. So low heart, king of hearts, trumped. That's bad news, obviously, for the defence, but nothing really they can do about that. Declarer has to trump it. You don't want to trump it as declarer, but you've got to avoid a loser. I suppose you could throw away the king of diamonds, which is a definite loser, but it's more likely you're gonna trump it. Right, now we're back in hand. We want to try to draw the trumps. Remember, you've got to keep a careful count of the trumps. So we've had 1 round of trumps is 4, and we've just trumped in, so that's 5 trumps gone. 3 in the hand is 8, 1 in the dummy is 9. So the opponents have 4 trumps left. What we'd like is the king of spades or the 10 of spades. They're both equivalent, now the jack and queen have gone. King or 10 of spades gets rid of the ace of spades, which is still somewhere. The 10 of spades, or king of spades, depending on which one you play, gets rid of the other 2 spades, because the spades break 3 and 3, leaving us with a winning spade at the end. So depending on how the spades are breaking, we may well be able to get rid of the ace, draw the last trumps with this one, and have this one left over. That won't necessarily happen. It all depends on how the spades break. So we need to get rid of that ace of spades, because we still want to play these clubs. That's all we're trying to do, is get to a position where we can play these clubs. So I'd play the king of spades or 10. They're both equivalent. I personally go top down, but it's up to you. King of spades gets the 9 of spades. Still just trying to draw the trumps. And they will play the ace of spades. They could duck it if they want to, but there's no real reason why they would. So that loses to the ace. Again, keeping a careful count of the spades. We notice the 9 was played by East there, which is looking like that they haven't got any more, but not guaranteed. Keeping a careful count of the spades, we've had 2 rounds of spades, which is 8. We trumped in once, which is 9, and these 2 is 10, 11. So, we know that there's 2 spades left. We'd like it if the spades are 1 and 1, so that when we play this winning 10 of spades, the opponents, both their spades go, and that leaves us with the trumps having been drawn, and then we can rattle our clubs off. But West has got the lead. West has got the lead, and West has a choice of what to play. They would play more hearts if they had them, making the declare a trump, but they don't. So they've got to choose. Do they play a trump, do they play a diamond, or do they play a club? The only suit I wouldn't play is diamonds, because the diamonds are good on the dummy. You tend to want to lead into weakness rather than into strength. The diamonds on the dummy are the only suit that are of any use to declare at all. So playing a diamond, I mean, we can see that the diamond would lose to the ace and it doesn't matter. But it's better if the declarer has to play a high card in second seat rather than in fourth seat. So it's better to play a club or a spade. We happen to know that a spade doesn't cost because we have the last two remaining spades, assuming declarer had 5 spades to begin with. Or we could try and play a club, hoping to pincer something if it was ace-queen in declarer's hand and the king over here, for example. I personally would play a club because declarer has been drawing trump, so it's likely they want to do that continually. So I would play a club. We can see that declarer's got such good clubs it doesn't matter, but I just wouldn't play a diamond because a diamond is the one that leads into dummy's strength. Albeit it doesn't actually matter because declarer has the king singleton. So I play a low club. Declarer we win with the ace. It's much better practice to play the ace rather than the queen. Yes, I know the queen would win, but when you play the queen and their partner, East, does not beat the queen, this defender now knows you have ace, king and queen. Whereas when you play the ace, this defender learns nothing about your club quality other than you have the ace. The king could still be here as far as this defender is concerned. So as a declarer, you try to muddy the waters as much as you can. It's not going to happen to matter, but it's important. You try to give them as little information as you can. Don't forget, as a declarer, we want to count these clubs, because if the clubs are 3 and 3, we play ace of clubs, king of clubs, queen of clubs, and all those clubs will be winners. So you've got to keep count of 2 different suits here. The spades, there's 2 left. The clubs, we've just had our first round of clubs, which is 4. So you kind of got to keep 2 things going on here. So we just won the ace of clubs. We are now in hand again. Remember, 4 clubs have gone, and so far we've got 2 spades left. So there's 9 spades gone, with our 2 makes 11, so the opponents have 2 spades left. This 10 of spades is a winner. So what we would like to do, play the 10 of spades, draw the last trumps, because they're 1 and 1, ha-ha, and then we can play our club winners. That's not going to work, but that's what we should try. So the 10 of spades, East discards a diamond, we feel sad, we discard basically anything from the dummy. The dummy is now irrelevant, it's been irrelevant most of the hand to be honest. And they play a spade. They lost that trick. So, if you've been keeping careful track of the pips, the intermediate cards, 8, 9s, 10s, that kind of region, you will know that this 5 is not a master spade. That's not easy to keep track of, but if you lose this spade, you will have a problem, because then you will have run out of trumps. Whenever the opponents have 1 trump left, and it's bigger than all of your trumps, here they have the 7, which is bigger than your 5, you don't want to draw it. Instead, you want to play on your winners and make them trump in with that. So now I would turn to the clubs, leaving them with their winning trump. So we play the king of clubs. Everyone plays a low club. That is now 8 clubs gone. Okay, so we've got 8 clubs gone. We've got 3 in hand is 11. This queen of clubs, if this falls all the clubs, they will now be winners, which is what we were hoping for right at the start of the hand. So play the queen of clubs. East plays the jack of clubs. We throw something away. It doesn't matter what you throw from the dummy. And the 10 of clubs appears there. That means the clubs have now had 2 rounds of 4, 1 round of 3 is 11, 12, 13. These clubs are now winners. Now I know that West is going to trump in with their 7 of spades, but we have set these up as winners. We're making them trump in with their master trump. So we won the queen of clubs. That was very nice that the clubs broke that way. Now play your club winners. Don't give them the spade, because we'll never get back to our hand if we give them the spade. Play the 9 of clubs. They throw a diamond. We throw something irrelevant. They probably trump in. They win this whenever they want, basically. They win that trump. So we lost that winning club, but we got rid of their master trump in doing so. Now they have to play a diamond. It's the only suit they've got left. Goes diamond, king, ace, diamond, and that wins for the defenders. Now diamond, queen, small. So this queen of diamonds is winning, so you can throw your club and win the trump. As it happens, this club is a winner because you've countered, so you can either trump this and win your club, or you can throw this and win the trump on the last trick. These 2 tricks are yours in whichever order you play the cards. So we've got the last 2 tricks. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tricks in total. A very hard-earned 1 spade plus 1. The reason that went okay was because the spades went okay and the clubs went well, 3-3.